The phone at home rang and the wife nervously asked her husband who was calling. It turned out she was afraid the call was from his assistant, who was also his mistress. The caller said nothing several times. The husband thought it was a prank call. At this moment, the husband saw a note on the table and learned that his teacher had passed away unexpectedly. After the husband hurriedly left home, unexpectedly the phone rang again. Upon hearing the assistant's voice, the wife could no longer tolerate it. She said the two of them had an agreement initially, so why was the assistant still pestering her relentlessly? But the assistant had already lost her sense of reason and wanted to meet the wife immediately. The wife wanted to refuse, but the assistant said she was already at her doorstep. To avoid being discovered by her husband, the two could only agree to meet at a restaurant. But now the child had become a problem. No matter how long she coaxed, the mother couldn't see any signs of sleepiness in her daughter. However, in order to protect this hard-earned family that came late, the mother had no choice but to heartlessly feed her half a sleeping pill. She then went to the restaurant as agreed. The wife wanted to end the relationship between the two of them once and for all. But how could it be that easy? Without realizing it, it was already very late. But she never would have imagined that not only did her husband come home early, he also discovered the child's abnormality. On the other side, the exhausted wife was sent home by the assistant. But coincidentally, the husband had also just returned home with the child. The scene before his eyes instantly made him very sad. He stood there and looked for a long time, but in the end still hid away. It's not that the husband didn't want revenge, but that he was waiting for the best timing. Only when he saw the indication that the elevator was going down did the husband slowly walk towards home. However, the moment he opened the door, he discovered that somehow the assistant was still in his home. But he didn't make a sound and instead silently chose to leave. If you think this is his cowardice, then you're greatly underestimating this man. The next day, he specifically had his friend send him to the train station. The husband was nominally going to attend his teacher's funeral. However, after boarding the train, he secretly appeared at the assistant's home. The husband put on rubber gloves and found the man's hair on the bed. He then found a dagger in the drawer. When the wife came back and was still removing her makeup, she once again saw her even more private photos next to her vanity mirror. The wife thought the assistant wanted to threaten her. She hurriedly took out her phone to call her, questioning what exactly she wanted. But at this moment, the power at home was suddenly cut off. Just as she was about to go out and check, the wife was pushed down onto the bed by her husband. He then picked up the phone and once again dialed the assistant's number. The wife wanted to speak but couldn't utter a single word, only able to weakly make some faint sounds. He fiercely glared at his wife, although the wife's eyes were full of fear. This time the husband no longer hesitated. The husband then took out the hair he had collected and threw it all next to his wife's body. The husband changed his clothes again. Before leaving, he deliberately left his keys behind. Only after he personally saw the assistant come over did the husband once again go to the man's home and leave traces of his wife on the sink. After doing all this, he once again boarded a train heading to another city. The next day, the husband called his neighbor, saying he couldn't get in touch with his wife and hoped the neighbor could help go to their home to look for her. However, after the wife pushed open the bedroom door, she immediately discovered that the wife was motionless. The police quickly sealed off the scene. They also successfully collected the assistant's hair. The husband's acting skills were utterly brilliant. Coupled with his perfect alibi, he was quickly ruled out as a suspect by the police. The assistant wasn't so lucky and was ultimately identified as the target by the police. The husband once again returned home with the baby in his arms.